Hello and welcome everybody. Daryl Snyder, Fantasy Sports Logic, and I am excited to introduce Nicole Valencia. She is a Chief Content Officer for 4deep.com, and they have a lot of great things going on there. Excited about right now it's unique. It's the only relationship, Nicole, that we have like this with anybody. We got on a call with Ed and I, and you and Benny, and Benny negotiated a pretty tough deal, which really favors your members. So we're excited about that. They have discounts to access the Contrarian Edge Optimizer. Better than anybody can do it right now. So that's awesome. And I'm going to share a little bit about what the optimizer is. This is tomorrow will be in the 10th month. It was an idea that was created back in the beginning of 2023. Here we are, the last day of August, and the timing couldn't be more perfect. We have been working for that many months to do something that I think is very unique. I haven't had anybody tell me that anybody else is doing it, but we provide 7 player projection data feeds into the optimizer, and an 8th, which is our proprietary blend. And it's not just any 7, it is what I believe to be the most 7 recognized providers on the planet. And they have a combined over 100 years of experience in producing daily projections. You have Stats Perform. They've been around since the 80s. The gentleman that we work with there has been around since the late 90s. Sports Data IO, they're one of the most recognized as well. They provide a legacy feed and also a Baker. This is the first year that baseball has been offered through Baker. They also allow football. We'll have that in the football. We'll get into that in that recording. They simulate up to 10,000 different times the outcome of an MLB game. We are the exclusive partner of Ballpark Pal. They simulate 3,000 times. They are currently baseball only. FTN Data, Benny's familiar with them. They simulate data outcomes for MLB 40,000 times. RotoWire, I mean, if you're in fantasy at all, they've been around quite a long time. They provide data to the who's who of sports sites, ESPN, DraftKings, FanDuel, SiriusXM, a lot of information on their site. And then Sport Radar, they've been around a long time too. So in the beginning, I was having a real problem trying to pick between which feed. I liked all the guys that were representing the different companies, and finally I said, what am I trying to figure out one for? Let's put in as many that are relevant as possible. So we ended up with 7, and then we have a proprietary blend of the 7. We call it our secret sauce. So what does that all mean? You can see out here, today's slate, MLB, it's a small slate, 3 games in the main. We allow you to have DraftKings or FanDuel, for whatever your preferred platform is. You can choose by slate, main slate, night slate, showdown slates. You'll see the different options. I'm going to focus on the main right now since it's just a little 3-game slate. Couple of important games. Dodgers are playing the Braves. They're both well entrenched in first place. You have the highest projected pitcher for good reason, Spencer Strider. Big strikeout side, well over 200 strikeouts. You can see he's projected as high as almost 21 with FTN, the same with RotoWire. If you see zeros in there, that doesn't mean that they're not playing. It just means that these are updated every 30 minutes. And this slate goes off, I believe, at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7:05 Eastern. So as the day progresses, these will fill in. These different partners are working on the projections before they actually feed them to us. Contrarian mode, you'll see there. That's why it's called the Contrarian mode, the Contrarian Edge Optimizer. I've been playing since the late 90s. I've studied a lot of the winning lineups across MLB over the years. It was the first sport I played, and almost all the time, I don't know about you, Nicole, I know you're a player. Winning lineups seem to have somebody that's a little bit different, that's off the beaten path, so to say. So if you don't like contrarian mode and you don't want to get real different, and that may be something where, depending on your strategy, if you're playing single lineup entries, maybe as few as 3, you might shut that off and get a little more balance. I like to leave it on all the time, but it is an option, so that's why it's in green. If you want to click it off, you can. We've added recently, stacking is really, really important in baseball. Correlation, whether it's the Braves and you want to try to squeeze in, even though it's salary, an Acuna 7,000. Actually, it's down to 6,700 against Lance Lynn. So you get a little discount today with that pitching matchup. But if one of the teams goes off, normally it scores double-digit runs or more, stacking is really something you want to try to target, because the correlation of an Acuna or an Olsen, a Riley, an Albies, a Harris hitting a home run, and a guy like Arcia maybe gets on or gets a double, maybe steals a base. So stacking, we've created a lot of different ways to do it. We have a stack attack mode, which allows you to, again, it's not as relevant on a 3-game slate because you only have so many options, right? Bigger slates becomes more important. If you super stack on a small slate and there's more balance, say these 3 games end up 2-1, 1-0, 4-3, and you stacked the lower scored ones, it's not going to be as effective. But I'm going to show you the possibilities with everything. You can see here, you got a little lock option, or you can totally fade, right? And so depending on your strategy, I like to play the max 150s, not necessarily the high stakes. I mean, you can do, if you're a DraftKings player, as low as 50 cents for the max 150, which is a $75 total. You don't have to play 150. You can play, whatever your flavor is. Max 20. There's 50-cent dollar games, $3 games. That mini max $3 gotten kind of popular. Not a lot of risk if you go, full in 450. But the upside, I think even today it's $50,000 total prize pool, upside $5,000. So nice opportunity there. If you happen to have one of your lineups float to the top. I'm going to show you the pro options real quick. You asked the question before we came on the air. I mean, there's all sorts of stacking options on the outside, but if you want to get super specific, then everybody kind of has their own strategy. Some of them, they follow some of the things we say. Global max exposure. Again, it's a small slate. It's hard to get really diverse, but let's just say you don't want a player in 100% of your 150 lineups. You can dial this down to wherever you want to go, or you can leave it up to wherever you want to go.
Will an individual lock in the player pool override that or not?
Can you lock an individual? Yeah. If you lock them, they're 100%. So they're going to be, it's going to be for the ones that they're filling in around the locks. That's a great question. We exclude game time decisions and outs. Obviously, sometimes a game time decision may play. You might want to check that, but we don't want you having to have 150 lineups trying to edit in the last minute. You're asking, can you stack 2 teams? You can fade right here. I can totally fade the Marlins today, the Nationals, the Braves, the Giants, right? So I can condense, I call it, right? Let's just say I think the Giants today could be contrarian. I think a lot of people are going to probably try to stack the Braves or Dodgers. even though the pitching matchups, right? It's a little bit different. You got elite pitchers against elite hitters today, but whatever way you want to go. Let's say you want to get super different and fade the Braves. I don't think many people are going to fade the Braves. So you could get really different, right? So we made those options available. You can even, today there's not a lot, right? 83 different potential starters, right? Pitchers and players. You can get diverse on max and minimum exposure per player if you don't lock them in. So a lot of options, right? You just go in there and say minimum exposure, 50%, 20%, whatever you choose. Whatever your settings are that you chose in the pro settings, you save, and it will work those out for you. So what we've done, this is more for advanced players, right? That really want to get like super specific. But what I did is work with our team, our dev team over the last several months, 9 months. And I said, I want this dumbed down to Daryl because I'm Daryl. I've never used for more than a few weeks Outlook Express because it's too complicated for me. I'm a Gmail guy and I was an AOL guy, right? I like simple. I don't like the, so although we believe as much here or more than anybody, I wanted it to be to where you could just click on a few things and create some lineups, right? Show me some lineups that the optimizer says could have a chance to pop today. And I'm going to show whatever. I mean, Nicole, you want me to lock a pitcher? You want me to lock a position player just to show an example? Or what's your thoughts on what you see in this small 3-game slate?
Yeah, and one other thing that we could touch on with the players per team, right? For stacking, a different way that you can generate those lineups is you could do it in multiple builds, right? You could generate lineups, change some settings, generate another batch of lineups, combine the 2 sets of lineups into a CSV to generate, say, 20 lineups total, but you did it in 4 different builds or however many builds. So I think players per team is something that comes up a lot on the hitter side for baseball and stacking. And along with that, you've got the status there, which is the batting order, right, Daryl? The little hyperlinks under the status column there represent the batting order. That's why you don't see it for pitchers.
That's
Is
correct.
that projected batting order?
Yeah, projected. Yeah, they haven't locked, right? I mean, we're early in the day. That the slates will lock closer to the start time. That's why every 30 minutes you'll see you want to watch this 13 minutes. But I'll show you an example. I won't lock anybody. I'm going to show you what Nicole was referring to. Contrarian mode, generate lineups. She talked about stacking. You can choose up to 5. That's the max. It's risky on a 3-game slate, but if one of the teams happens to hot, say, the Dodgers, they take out Strider and they end up scoring a bunch and you stack 5, probably not a lot of people will on a 3-game, but I'll show you some examples. I'm going to go 3-game slate. I'm going to just stack 3. I'm going to always make sure you let it do. It's doing a lot of things in the background. Make sure you look over and see the generate lineups is orange. That means it's ready. I'm going to go into auto stack. This is our stack attack mode feature. And I'll show you why we are excited about this. You can see it did what it's supposed to do, generate lineups. It's off now. That wouldn't allow you to get as diverse. What I wanted this created for is I wanted, because I played more lineups, as much coverage as I could get with the idea that if I play 150 today, I don't care if 140 of them crash and burn, but if I can float one of those 10 to the top in these top weighted price pools, then I'm going to be happy, right? Because that's where the money is. So if you want to do it a different strategy and you don't want to be as risky, there's all sorts of options. But I went auto stack 3. I didn't fade anybody. I could have locked out any of the teams, right? Remember in the pro setting, I could have said I want to auto stack 3, but no Marlins or no National. I left everybody in the pool because it's a small slate and you don't know. They're pro players. Nationals could go off and score 13, right? And if I left them out, I didn't do that. So I'm going to hit generate lineups. And look at what it does, right? I'm going to move you and I down here, Nicole, and to show what we created. You got the blend of the 7. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. You got Baker, Ballpark, Pal, FTN data, RotoWire. We got a little slider that's kind of hidden. Sport Radar, Sports Data IO, Stats Perform. But look at the diversity, right? Are you seeing that all the lineups are a little bit different, including the blend, right? This is what it's about. So we get back to the blend. The
And while
blend
you're
is
here, you can swap players too, or make changes. You can see this little player swap next to the exclude button there.
yeah, exactly. Or you can just say, because I saw Manea, right? Well, I don't want him, he's an opener, whatever, but I'm not saying that's bad or good. If the other pitchers get rocked and Maneo comes into that strikeout upside, you're going to be a little different, right? He's only 5,000. He's going to allow you to get to some of the higher priced players. Look at how, you want to talk about something hardly anybody does? You got a Giants pitcher, and look at the stack. You got a Padre, a Padre, a Padre, a Padre, right? 4 Padres against Maneo. Well, that's possible because what if Maneo shuts him down and he only goes 4 or 5, and then the Padres are up for 7 or 8? You're definitely, if that happens, you're going to be different. So what I like to show is there's a Giant stack: Estrada, Lamont Wade Jr., Patrick Bailey, Yastrzemski. You got lefty bats against the righty. I kind of like that, right? Strider and Garrett, a couple of nice pitchers. And I'm going to show you, I could run a 150 to show you how much diversity that it's going to give me. It's going to run 150 off of that. It's going to show me what it's doing here. Here's the report. Look at what it's doing. Max exposure 100, but I didn't fade anybody. But look at the balance. I got 25 or 26 Marlins stacks, 25 Nationals, 25 Braves, 25 Giants, 24 Padres, 25 Dodgers. That's pretty good coverage, right? And all different pitchers. It threw a CSV file up here. I didn't save it, but you talked about it earlier. When you do this and you hit it, it'll throw a CSV. You want to click and save if you're on a Mac, and it uploads perfectly to DraftKings, like you were talking about earlier. I can X out and you say, well, that looks good, but I can't really see who these are, right? Well, watch what happens when you shut this report off. Boom. Right in front of you, 150 different variations, right? All a little bit different. And so if you're just playing at max 20 and you want to cherry pick out of these 150, right? You can go and say, Garrett, Lance Lynn, I like that. Will Smith of the Dodgers, Wade, Estrada, Machado. Well, I've got some power in there, right? So it's totally built in auto mode to build stacks to attack. And today, that's not a bad strategy in a 3-game slate, right? You're covered all over the place, right? So, and I'm not advising Nicole, anybody to play 150 or to play. It's everybody, whatever they're, right? Some have fun playing 1, some have fun playing 3. This auto stack attack is built so you're not, you can see Garrett Lynn, right? Garrett Lynn. But then you get to Strider Manea, Strider Lynn, right? So I'm not locked in on the same pitchers. So if I ran this, and it wouldn't be a bad idea just to, maybe for fun, throw it into, I think they sometimes do 10-cent games, right? If you want to see the effectiveness of it, but you can see what's coming, and it probably as early as next week, you'll be able to pick out 20 of the best if that's what you play, or 10 of the best, or 40. You'll be able to click on them, and there'll be a button you'll hit, and it'll just throw those into a CSV. It won't throw all 150. So any questions on that? You'll see right there, you want to watch this. This is something that alerts you that every 30 minutes, new lineups. We already went past it, so the next we'll have the updates, but from what you see there, Nicole, any questions on how that worked?
So can you bring up that statistics window again on demand after you've closed it?
Yeah, I'll go back. I mean, it's no, not after you've closed it, because what closing what you look at is to see how much balance, right?
Your
And then a lot
distribution
of people,
among
they want
teams
to
too in the
see,
stacks.
yeah, if that's something you think would be handy, I'll talk about that being, but you actually see it in, right? I'm going to update this because we just went through, and this is something you'll want to do. And then that's a distant future if you don't want it to update while you're running lineups. You don't, you can turn the update off. It's more important as you get closer to lock, right? You want to know who might be. I mean, there's been some scratches with what's going on lately, right? The other night, Seattle and Rodriguez was scratched, and Kirby, right? Within like 30 minutes. And if you had those guys, which were guys that people would want to play, so definitely you want to know that. So what,
Yeah, so
you
just
could
a couple
do.
of notes on this page, right? The status is their batting order. Once that batting order is confirmed, is there another little indicator there to say the batting order has been confirmed?
You mean closer to lock?
Yes. So we're so early in the day that we don't have anything yet.
Well, again, these are right now. It's you can see it's a combined consensus of where they're going to bat. Right, Acuna's he leads off most of the time now. Right, unless there's an injury, they've slid Harris up to second, depending on Albies. But it doesn't. It what I encourage people to do, and I'm sure you do too. And I use DraftKings a lot, but it works on FanDuel. Is I look inside and I just, they'll confirm for you, right? It'll say confirm players that match up with what you've downloaded. We don't have yet in here, but it's been pretty accurate, right? You just, I mean, NBA is crazy because they, maintenance at last minute, everything changes. Baseball's pretty consistent and football will be too, but right now it's just, this is here and it's pretty close. You see they got Manea in there. I don't know if he's even really been confirmed. You can see some of the providers, most of them, they're not convinced that he's going to be the guy, right? Because the Giants, they do bullpen games probably more than anybody. They only have 3 starters now with Harrison up. So you'll see a blank there, although it says starting pitcher out here. But the rest of the position players are pretty consistent of what will probably happen. You might see a few changes. There's the other pitcher that comes in bullpen games for the Giants, Walker. You'll see some other ones down here that tend to come in for an inning or two. But I wanted to show you, and then I'll let you ask more questions. You don't have to do auto. Let's say you want to smash on any of the other ones, right? You maybe want to get real different and smash Padres, who have the capacity to score a lot of runs. I haven't really done it a lot this year. Or you want to get crazy on Washington, you can choose an individual team. And this is where when you ask, can you stack 2 teams, right? So if I wanted to stack 2 teams, I think that in DraftKings, I'm not sure FanDuel, you have to, if you stack, you have to play 2 different games. So it's not going to allow you to just stack 100%. I think
you have to have a player from 3 different teams. So if one's a pitcher, you can have in that 3rd game. But you could stack hitters from just 2 teams, right? You can do like a 5-3 stack.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, awesome. So if I wanted to do that, and I wanted to stack, and I'm not suggesting anything, but I didn't want any Marlins. I didn't want any Nationals. I didn't want any Giants, right? And I didn't want any Padres, and I wanted to lock a pitcher, right? Then I could go in, I could save. In this case, I probably would lock the pitcher first, otherwise it's not going to give me the option, right? So let me to give a better example, let me leave the Braves open. Let me leave the Giants open. And let's go 3 there, right? And I'm not, again, this is just an example. I'm going to hit save. You move you and me out of the way. It's updating what I just set in pro settings. You're going to see everybody. Yeah, Ballpark Pal doesn't have, I think they don't have anybody for one of the teams. So you'll see that again until things are updated. But I could lock Strider. I could go in Lance Lynn, could lock Manea, whatever 2 pitchers. And I could go and choose whatever team I wanted. Maybe you said 4 or 5, right? I want to do a 5-3 or a 4-4, right?
That's your primary team there, essentially, like the team you want the most of in this list.
Yeah. Go whatever number of the most, right? I mean, 4 is going to be, it's a 4-4 at the best, right? Mm-hmm. So you can go 4 if I want a 5. Problem today, in today's slate, because you got Strider so expensive with Lynn, if you try to force in, 5 higher price, which would be really a way to get different, you're probably not going to be able to afford. The Braves have a situation this year that we've never seen. I don't know if you've ever remembered it. Like, their players are so expensive. It's almost impossible to get a good pitcher, right? So you got to take chances and go with mid-range or low range to get an Acuna and an Olsen and an Albie. So it's not going to do what's impossible. Meaning, if I say I want 5 Braves and I want Lance Lynn and I want Strider and some other high-priced pitcher, but it will let you get specific on. Let's just see what it does if I want to stack. See how many Braves it lets me do. I'm sure it'll do 4, and it's going to probably pick up Manea and maybe even another. Might play him against Lynn. Let's see what it does. Pro option, sorry. Yeah. See, it's forcing you to, well, even Webb, which isn't, that would be a strategy because Webb's a starter and he's not going to, he'll get you 0 points, but he won't get you negative, right? One of these other guys. And I'm telling you, you think these things are impossible? I've seen winning lineups, especially small, right? You've seen guys that some of these players have been around a while, and let's say guys and girls, that, today you don't know. I mean, it's probably rare or unlikely if Strider and Lynn, don't score some points, but it's not impossible. You got Braves Dodgers lineups that can hit, right? What happens if both teams come out of the gate and score 4, 5, or 6 runs and you got 2 guys in the negative, right? You only have a couple more pitchers. So somebody like Webb, I wouldn't play him, but more like a Walker, right? Or a Manea that's going to come in and maybe get you. Manea's projected at 10. I mean, I'll take 10 over a negative every time, right? So Strider, Manea there. That thing keeps going back out, but got some giant stacks. But probably the most important thing is it's really available to do whatever it is you want to do, right? I mean, if I want to get, if I look across these, I'd take, I'd lock Webb out of the situation and wouldn't play him for a 0. I'd take my chances on. See, it just changed him to, it looks like a relief pitcher for either the Braves or Dodgers, right? And the reason it's doing that is because it's filling you up with some pretty high-priced position players. I got Freddie Freeman, Tyro Estrada, Riley of the Braves, Rosario, Arcia, Ozuna, Peterson.
So if you want to see how many players from each team, like hitters from each team in that lineup, the first team listed is the team they play for. So that relief pitcher's for Atlanta. But you can go down right below catcher, below first base, how many Giants I have, how many Braves I have in this particular lineup.
That is correct. And again, if I want to stack, you can choose from any of these. Some people like, I mean, I've had people different things. A lot of people are gravitating towards the blend because it's a blend of the other 7, right? And they think that, and it is a unique feed that nobody that we know of has. So they kind of think, okay, it's went through, which it has. It's kind of picking the best of the best out of the other providers, but doesn't necessarily mean you have to. You can go, if you really like, Manea Strider over here with Sport Radar, which I kind of like. There you're hoping that Lynn gets knocked around by the Braves. You've got Braves in the lineup, so this correlates, right? You got Rosario, Harris, Arcaia in there. Austin Riley, another big bat. And then you've got Bailey, Wade. So let's look at this one. Show me 10. Generate. Here's the report again. Looks like it gave me 3 Atlanta stacks, 7 Giants, Braves, 7-4-4, right? You see that there? You're asking about a 2-teamer because of what we did. Exit out. Let's see what they look like. There they are. Manea Lynn, Manea Strider, Manea, looks like Manea across the board, right? Which isn't.
Daryl, we lost what projection source that was when you hit that close button there.
What was it? I'm sorry.
The projection source that you were on, now it's no longer listed on the page.
I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm sorry.
On the other page, right, when you generate a lineup, you get a blend, you get 1 of each. And then if you wanted 10 RotoWire lineups, when you hit generate multiple lineups, it spit them out. But if I come back to this later, I may not remember what lineups were these, right? These were RotoWire. I'm just saying it doesn't list the projection source here on this page.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a minor thing. I'm just informational. I'm just telling you what it's.
Yeah. And all these things.
You can still swap out here, and then you could actually generate those lineups or even generate the CSV to upload for our multi-user.
Right, and I'll show you.
Multi-user contest.
Multi-entry,
I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I went with Sport Radar, right? And I'm going to hit generate. Watch up here on the right for me. I might have already done it, so it won't do it this time. But normally it'll throw the CSV. Are you on a Mac or are you on a PC?
I'm on a Mac. Okay.
Does it normally throw them up to the right on yours and then it saves them, or how does it do it? There it is right there, see?
In the CSV, yeah, it's over in the corner. It downloads it.
Yeah, it goes to DraftKings and then you go to DraftKings upload and pulls it in. Okay.
So on this main settings page, if we go back there, we haven't looked at FanDuel yet or the differences between sites. You have an exclude opposing pitcher button though. And I guess explain, is that the difference between you don't want 2 opposing pitchers in the same lineup on DraftKings only, or is this limiting you won't get hitters against your pitcher?
You can exclude them.
There.
See that exclude? Yeah. And again, it's today, I mean, it's a rare one that we're demoing it, but right, 3-game slate, it's probably, you're going to have to play some hitters against your pitchers, right? So it's like, what's the most favorable? I mean, people might automatically say, you could take a stand and maybe play Garrett, right? For the Marlins against Washington, right? And then play, I mean, it just depends what, I'll ask you, if you had a choice, would you play Strider and Lynn together, or would you play the Braves and Dodgers bats together and get away from the pitchers, right? I mean, I think I'd rather stack up bats, but we've seen some crazy hitter scores lately, their ceiling's a little bit higher if you hit the right one there, but
Yeah, well, a couple things we haven't talked about on this page that I'd like to touch on real quick would be the position filters. It's a very common thing in baseball. So we've been looking at player pool all, right? But these filters are here to only show the shortstops. It's going to be a short list today on a 3-game slate. The ownership percentages, this is a sortable column. So you can click there, right, and sort most owned players, Daryl, at the top. If you click to the right of the percentage sign in that header, yep, to the right of it, just click to the right of the percent. I think it sorts up or down. There you go. So it'll sort by ownership percentage. It'll sort by fantasy points in the other columns, FP0, 1, 2, 3, 4 across there. You can sort by salary or the game start time, or even your opponent, right? So if you just want to see the Braves, you can go to the team column and sort, and the Braves will all pop to the top. There you go. So those kind of things.
Thank you for
right?
showing me the ownership.
Narrow
We've
down the
added
player
a lot
pool
of
before
features,
you
and
go
I
build
didn't
your
know that
lineups.
one was even there.
There you go.
Like,
I can barely see the different color of it. It looks like there's little arrows up and down there for it. So all those things to help, speed up. The more you limit your player pool, the faster it's going to be able to generate those lineups, especially if you're building 20 or more. If you do something where it can't even generate the lineups, right, it's going to say it wasn't able to generate that many lineups. There are a couple other features on this page that are interesting. We've got a question about custom projections. Can I upload my custom projections? If you scroll up slightly, there's this black button up there that says custom projections, I believe at the very top.
Yep, well, you're right. You can, that was added, yeah, right there.
Yep. So if you do that, Daryl, they just have to follow a template CSV in order to upload their own projections. So they'll need to format that ahead of time, but that's a power user feature. We call that a power user feature. And they also have get projection CSV if you want to go the other direction, right? So they can download these sets of projections if you click on get projection CSV button.
Yep, right there.
So those are a couple cool features to be aware of. They're right here on this page. I guess we could jump over and look at just what the layout looks like on FanDuel, the other site they provide. So again, this is salary cap contest, showdown, or the regular classic style. Of course, the difference here being the positions. Yeah.
Let me refresh it for FanDuel because we have the Braves. But I know we're going to do a separate video, but one thing people should know that we're excited about is it's all, if you come in and you're really an NFL player, but you dabble in MLB, it's all one price for the sports. So it's MLB, NFL, NBA. When we add it October, we'll have the remainder of the playoffs for MLB. We'll have definitely NFL and NBA. So we try to create a one place for all the sports. We'll be adding PGA as well. I'll go to FanDuel here. Main slate FanDuel, you'll see it's definitely correlated to the points. Pitchers are weighted heavier there. Got projection for FanDuel, which sometimes are different. You'll see Jock Peterson. We've got him almost 50% owned. He's going to be popular in the middle of the lineup, left-handed at Petco Park. The Marine layer is trying to meld off. It's been thicker this year than ever, but so he looks like Chisholm from the Marlins, another guy right in the middle of the lineup. Tatis. These are important. I know you guys probably train, right, Nicole? I mean, ownership is like, to me, some of the most important. I mean, it can go both ways. You can look and say, Chisholm 56%. Do I want to be, ahead of half the field and fade him and hope that he doesn't click? Or do I want to be behind half the field and or ahead of half the field and play him, right? So it's a lot of strategy. And again, if it's a 13-game slate and you have somebody really highly projected to be owned like an Acuna, right, when he was just in Coors Field, then like yesterday, I don't think he had a hit, so fading him would have been good. But in a smaller slate, it's just there's only a certain number, like 80 some people to choose from, right? So you're gonna have to have some ownership and pick and choose your spots there. Anything on FanDuel you want me to show? I mean, it's pretty much.
The stacking will look slightly different because there won't be a 5. You can only stack 4 hitters. So that will look slightly different.
Yeah.
I mean, we showed what happens when you stack there, but have we tried the generate lineups button on here? Are there other settings under there as far as if you wanted to spend a certain amount of salary cap money, right? Like if you wanted to leave $200 on the table in all of your lineups, is there a way to do that?
No, that's never been asked. I mean, obviously you see it, and some people and again, it's going to vary 3-game slate. You probably could get away with it more than a 13-game slate. A lot of people like to max. I don't know what your rule is. Mine is I'm comfortable with leaving 1,000 to 1,500, depending on the situation. If it gets to be more than 1,500, I tend to look to see what kind of production possibilities do I have with someone I can slide in for that extra 1,500, right? If it's looking and it's got a 9th place hitter that doesn't have any home runs and I can slide over and grab maybe a 7th place hitter that's got maybe 8 home runs, right? But again, the optimizer is trying to get contrarian. It doesn't mean that guy without the home runs doesn't click for you. So let's do a 3. Where are we at on 7 minutes? Okay. Auto. Stack attack mode. When it's ready, you want to watch this to see it's figuring out, looking through those. There's still hundreds of thousands of possibilities, even with a 3-game slate, potential differences. Click stack attack mode on. And they're single picture format, right? And again, it went after Webb, mostly because the Giants haven't confirmed a starter, right? And it's just searching the database. We know Webb pitched yesterday, so definitely just exclude him if you see that happening. But it's not a fault of the system. It's just the data providers haven't confirmed that the Giants are going to start Manea, because they could start an opener that's different, and so it's going to Webb for you, but I'm deleting him.
I guess that's the question just in general. Stat providers, do you kind of roll over the slates at midnight, like day to day for baseball, and the same for NBA, or with NFL being a weekly sport, when usually are most of the projections in?
We're at the mercy of the providers, and that's why they're updated every 30 minutes. I mean, these are live feeds, so it's not every game in MLB, the slate's different, right? But where you're seeing this, like with Webb, is some of the people haven't, Manea, right? Look at, you got 4 zeros because they haven't confirmed through the Giants, right? He's been talked about, but Kapler hasn't said Manea's starting. And he hasn't started that much. He's come in at bulk relief. So that's throwing it into quandary, and it's going, okay, the next best pitcher would be Webb. Once I see that happening, I can lock Webb out in the main thing down here, right? So he's not even going to appear. Or I can just say, I don't want to mess with the Giants pitchers, and I'll go to like you said, I'll go to the team, right? And I'll lock out all the Giants pitchers. So, but the answer to your question is it's consistent. Like it's going to keep pulling data from the different providers. What I do see when I go to Manea is, I mean, you got Baker, who's only scoring 5, but look at the variance. You've
But
got
the
two
zeros
providers.
are excluded for his blended, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's excluding the zeros for blended.
So because it's a live feed and these projection providers are picking up from their simulations or their information on, I mean, the Giants are tough when they start doing, there's an update. When they start doing these bullpen games, and they've done a lot, they only had 2 starters until they brought Harrison up. They had Cobb and Webb, and then every other game was a bullpen game, right? And you're like, who's opening? Who's the bull? I mean, there's a lot of, and get Kapler, he likes to play the cat and mouse game, the Giants manager. So if the guys that have been doing this for a combined 100 years can't figure it out, then we're at the mercy of them, unless you have the ear of Kapler and you can get some insider information. Gabe, who's it gonna be? Is it Manea? They bring up somebody, who knows, but what other questions? It's been great. This, I will commend you. I've been on with some people and you've done your homework. You pointed out the ownership thing to me.
We'll mostly have tournament players and things using Optimizer, but if you wanted to build more of a balanced build or in a 50-50 cash game head-to-head type builds, then you would turn contrarian mode off. I assume there's kind of like a secret formula associated with that, but basically the idea behind it is it's taking the raw fantasy points into account to build a more optimized lineup, right? Like if you want to see what is the optimal lineup here, that's where ownership's going to fall. There's going to be the chalky plays that are going to fall more into the better fantasy points, better value, points per dollar plays. This will be the same in football, especially in NBA, where the scoring is more linear for fantasy points. But in baseball, where a home run can really jack up a total quickly, when you're stacking, it's going to be more variance there, right? So when contrarian mode is off, you can think of it as less variance. It's using the fantasy point total more than it is in contrarian mode being on, where it's looking for some of those low owned plays. But definitely the ownership and fantasy points will be used a ton. So we've got an NFL video coming out. We've got the information up on our website, 4deep.com/DFS Lineup Optimizer. There's a link up there about all the information with Fantasy Sports Logic. Basically, there are 3 or 4 options. Just if you want to try it out, $1 for a week, right, Daryl? So for 7 days, you can go try it out for $1. Now would be a good time because you can get the showdown slate for next Thursday's NFL contest, start of the season there. We have a deal with the 4Deep promo code where you get $5 off the monthly price. You get $50 off the lifetime, which is not something offered really anywhere else. So this is kind of a new partnership, a new deal. That's an exclusive deal for us. The lifetime membership is a good thing to go look into. But if you just want to try it out, test drive it, essentially, pay $1. We'll cover your dollar, and get people in there and interested in it. And it's just another way to build lineups. And if you're looking to multi-enter something, definitely start small. I'm here to help you with those kind of things if you have questions in the DFS chat, but small contests where you can generate a lot of lineups and then help upload those very quickly. It's not something you want to do 10 minutes before lock, but some of these smaller slates are good things to play around with, a different experiment or a different way to build your lineups. Daryl, anything else to add on the partnership, the promo, or anything about FSL and Sportstopia?
No, it's awesome. I mean, we're excited. This is the only arrangement currently that we have. And like you said, what we didn't do, this is a popular question, if we subscribe for the 7 days for $1, we don't auto upgrade anybody. We want them to be happy. We believe they're going to see incredible value if they really get in and take a look at it. But then the $29.97 a month, the 4Deep have that $5 off. So they will only pay $24.97. The lifetime one time, which will not remain that price forever. It's while we're in beta, and it currently covers all sports. The 4Deep members are getting that for $249.97. So that's like nothing we offered anybody else. So if you like, after the 7 days, you want to go subscribe to one of the 2 options that's available with the discount, you guys have that link and it's built right in there. And important, we have a phone number. A lot of people go, is that real? You really have a phone number? It's real, and it rings through. So
calls Daryl directly. It calls you directly.
Yeah. Well, no, I get it prompted, so I know who it, so I know my thing. But yeah, it comes into the support team, and then we have
there's
email.
A support email, right, Daryl?
Yeah, there's a support email, and then and we already have had international. Some places internationally they can play. I had a guy from Venezuela, and he found me through Twitter. We have a WhatsApp number for people that want to call. WhatsApp support is on the website too. It's on the fantasysportslogic.com site. There's a daily blog that I do videos like this. So if they want to see different ones, we'll be having more NFL. But you and I will record that one here real soon. Thank you, Nicole. I am super excited. I'm very impressed on your knowledge of the optimizer. Very good, and I look forward to this fun. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you. I'm going to render this for you to share with everybody. So thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Daryl.